Gary, good evening.
Good evening, Ian. It's just the two of us. Just the two of us. After last week's crowd, that was a really good show last week. I thoroughly enjoyed having our extra guest,
Chip. Yes, it was very good. Chippy Steve Payne and from UMPC Portal.
Yeah, that's really.
Yeah, it was very good to get him on and to get a different perspective around it, and it's good. It's good to get some different thoughts on it.
It was really good.
So, but we've lost Jason tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what he's off to doing. There's probably. I'd like to say he's queuing up for Windows 10, but it's a bit late, really.
Yeah, maybe he thought we'd get a new Windows 10 mobile build tonight.
Ah, yes. Well, there are rumours, aren't there? There's rumours we're going to get a much higher numbered Windows 10 release fairly shortly for mobile.
Yes, I think. So let's. Well, there's definitely not going to be a build tonight because Gabe All tweeted and said no new build, but they are getting close to a build.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's been saying, if I can find it here, it was 1015 something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That this new build could be.
But he did mention a few days ago that they were setting another branch up for insiders, so that may be why they've jumped the version numbers quite so much.
Yeah.
So. And the Windows Insider app has been updated today as well, so maybe that's leading up to that.
Oh, is it? Right.
So, so make sure you've got that downloaded if you want to stay on ball. But yeah, I'm hearing rumours that this is a really good, stable build. So I think it's...
yeah. In fact, Gabe All said it's in the 105XX range.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a new branch of the beginning 1055 versions.
Yes, I think we're getting into this stage now with the mobile build, or we'll do when we get this next one, that we were kind of a month or so, maybe, towards the end of June, beginning of July, with Windows 10, the desktop version.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's feature. Well, they have said it's feature complete, haven't they? I think I seem to remember someone, was that Joe Fiore saying that was, he thought that was feature complete. So I mean, if we went to that bug fix stage like we were in Windows 10, the end of Windows 10 build, and we suddenly got loads and loads of stuff getting really stable very quickly, I'll be delighted to see that, and probably switch it on to one daily drivers.
Yeah, that's right. I'm tempted to switch my 1520 over now. It was just the upgrade issues, isn't it, that really kind of puts you off a little bit. That once that upgrade is nice and clean, then I think I'm ready to go, really.
Yeah.
At the end of the day with the phone, I'm not as fussed about doing a clean install. It's a bit of a pain having to reinstall your apps again, and but it's not difficult like with Surface Pro 3 when I've got all my photo editing and video editing and audio editing tools. It's not as complicated, I don't think.
It's only difficult when your USB socket's broken like mine is, because then you can't do anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and of course, and a couple of times I had to do the install, then do a reset, and I've had to roll it back to Windows 8.1. That was on my 630. So I think the next build will go on my 630, and we'll see how that goes. And if it goes like Windows 10 desktop, though, we might only get a couple more builds then before.
Yeah, well, I said so, because we're getting pretty close to the time they only start announcing devices. So yeah, I would be surprised if we got very many more builds.
Yes, and when you think about my 630, I don't think it's really had any major issues with it. I mean, I don't do a lot with it while, since the last build, you do your initial testing. But I think it's been fairly stable and everything works on it. So we're going to have a big launch party then. Do we get to go to London again?
I hope so.
I think that'd be a really excellent idea.
Suggest it to the guys who invited you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. A trip down to London for the Windows 10 mobile launch. And of course, the rumours are that new devices coming in September now, aren't they? That's getting sort of pretty clear now that we're going to get us two premium phones. Talkman, Cityman, one's 5-inch and one 5.7-inch.
Yeah, 950 XL probably.
Yeah.
Although they've surprised us with numbering before now, so Windows 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it sounds more likely they're skipping the 950 and 950 XL. They look good phones from the leaks, so I do like the style of them from the leaks. So
yes.
So you can, yeah, I know you can never totally rely on what you can see on those big builds, but does look good.
And it could be my next phone. I mean, I've had the 1520 for some time now, and
yeah. Although I have to say, I really like my 735, and I can't really see anything I need desperately, other than maybe I do need Continuum. Yeah, possibly. I think Continuum is going to be the big seller. I think that's going to really push those as premium phones.
Yeah, I think so. Especially if, it delivers on what was promised, so that you can plug your phone in or wirelessly when you get your phone, just project it up to the TV and start using it for Word and Excel, or even if I can just use it when I come to my office and just put it down and it's connected up to my monitor here and all that. I can see it. It's something that's different anyway.
Definitely.
And it may be for corporates as well. It could be good because I noticed in our environment, where I work, is we have people that request laptops, but we've also started to get requests that people want very small tablets for sales kind of presentations where they're not using as a laptop. They're just really using it for PowerPoint presentations and a very fast, quick, booting device. And I could see someone with a phone, take the phone in and just project that up, and you could even do it with a little HDMI dongle.
It would work perfectly.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing those, give those tries. So we'll look forward to those at the launch party. Hint. Now, did you see this thing this week about being able to run Android apps on Windows 10 mobile?
Yeah, so this they talked about this at Build, didn't they? This ability to take a Android app and tweak it and then run it on Windows 10. But this leak thing seems to allow you to actually sideload APKs and run them directly without really tweaking them. And I'm not quite sure what abilities it has and what it doesn't have, and what features are included or not, because there's minimal information at the moment. So I don't know if you've come across any more info.
Yeah, I mean, I read the instructions, and it's not that difficult. There's a couple of things you have to download, which is essentially this Bridge SDK or tool set that allows you to take an APK and essentially copy it to your phone. And then it seems to be doing some kind of emulator in there to run it as well. So there's a few guides out there, and you can find them on YouTube. Really, all the stuff that you're downloading is from leaked builds, so there's nothing official. So you take it's a risk that you've got to take, that you're downloading software that you don't know where it's from. But I've seen a few people try, and it does seem to work. And the basic thing it seems to be that effectively, there's some few steps to it, but the tutorial's only 10 steps or something like that. You download these bits of software, you copy in the APK, so you have to get the APK source file, which again you have to get from less than legit places. There are lots of places on if you Google that you can find Android APKs, and it converts this APK and can create some kind of runtime for it, and you copy it to your phone and it works. So I've read a few posts on it, and there's quite a lot of apps work off it straight away. Some things don't work. Anything that uses Google Play services doesn't work. So you're not going to get those working. But there's quite a list of things that work, and I guess really for sideload, yes, you can effectively. You are sideloading Android apps in there. What I think Microsoft want to do with it, isn't it, is get the actual developer of the actual app rather than
yes, yeah.
Developers to do
they want to tweak them for the hardware, because there's sort of tweaks and things you can do around the edges of them to allow you to use Microsoft services rather than Google ones.
Yeah. But I mean, I looked at a list of things that work. There's banking apps that work, and that there's Steam works on there, Tumblr, and you can even use Android Twitter app and Grindr if you want. So there's so it's possible to get these to go over. So I guess what they're hoping, Microsoft are hoping, is that they'll get these developers that got these apps that probably work already, and just get them to load them straight into the store. I mean, I actually thought about this, and I was going to test it on my 630, but I think it seems to need 1 gig of RAM, so the 630 wouldn't work. And I looked through my list of Android apps on my Nexus 5 that I've used, and thought, well, what would I want porting over? And by the time I looked through it, there is not that much actually. I was surprised. You know, there are a few things I think would be nice. You know, like Costa Coffee app, or this Android, this watch I'm testing. Oh, this smartwatch, this Alcatel smartwatch. It's got an app that goes with it. And, you know, so there are one or two things like that. But you know, the main things that I use have all got Windows versions anyway. You know, the banking app that I use is better on. There is a Windows Phone version of it, but it's essentially a wrapper of the website, where the Android one's got a decent decent full featured one. So there are some things where you could see, you know, you might like them to port over, but there's not a huge amount.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I know some people have tried to take the Pebble Android app across, because obviously there's no official Pebble support. Although Pebble Watch Pro just got updated with some Pebble Time support, which is quite good to see. Greg Banter's excellent app for helping us Windows users who want to use Pebbles. But it'd be really nice if you could take the official app across to port it. But I think people have tried that and it doesn't work, possibly because of lack of Bluetooth support properly. And I think there's going to be things which don't work. But it'd be interesting. I certainly would be interested to give it a go. Yeah,
and the fact there is, I'll just paste this into this link. There's a Reddit group showing apps that have been tested and working. I'll paste that into the chat room. So yeah, it's certainly an alternative, isn't it? So for Pebble, maybe, you know, it wouldn't take a huge amount. Maybe it takes a couple of hours of customization work rather than starting from scratch. So you know, it might be worth them, you know, them doing it. So it's an option.
Yeah, it certainly adds options to it. I think I was surprised to see this, but I guess it didn't come officially, so it was leaked, and they hadn't really talked about this idea of side loading before. So you did sometimes with these leaks of their unofficial official leaks, getting something out they don't really officially want to support. But if it happened to work and increase sales, then they wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be. It's certainly another method. I mean, doing the official method is great, so that, you know, Microsoft or users can say to the you know, you've got an Android app, just get it ported over. But the unofficial method is good for enthusiasts like us who maybe have the odd app that is you really want, like Costa Coffee app or Grindr, and you know, you can get them over. So if you're an enthusiast, so maybe it is, like you said, it's a bit of both, really.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So interesting. I'd say if any listeners have tried it, then then let us know, because I'd be interested to know how you get on with that. So anyway, we'll wait. I suspect there'll be a new Windows Phone build this week, so maybe by the time the show goes out on Thursday, we'll have a new build.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Now, over on Windows 10, I noticed there were some more updates today. I don't think it's any point of doing blog posts about these updates now, because they're just updates, aren't they? These cumulative updates. So we're starting to get weekly ones now.
Yeah, it appears to be. So this is primarily security updates, more from all accounts. So yeah, and maybe a few fixes for the store, where I know a few people have been having problems where they've been effectively locked out of the store, which isn't good when everything comes down from there. But yeah, I think that it is good to see this promise of a Windows service coming true, because they are starting to push all sorts of things out every week. So yeah, be good to see.
Yeah, I think that's the trick now, isn't it? They've got to maintain that. So it's core updates, you know, security and fixes that go through Windows Update, and then the apps get new functionality through the store.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key on there. Because there was an app update this week. I think Groove Music and Movies and TVs got an update this week, but no release notes for it.
Why are we surprised?
Because they've stopped doing the user voice now as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they were putting them on there. So, I noticed they usually put, if there's actually changes, they put them in in the app. So
that's right. Yeah, and that just seemed to be a new thing, actually, that they started doing in the last sort of month. So that if any major changes, they do put them in the app. So these are minor updates, but they do seem to have settled on the official naming we've got now for the movies and TV. It's actually film and TV if you've got UK English installed.
Yeah, and movies and TV if you've got US English installed. And there was one more variant of it somewhere, which I can't remember well, what it was. Someone did suggest they ought to change it in the UK to film and telly.
How very English.
How very English, yeah. I thought
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that would be quite a good sell.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely like to see that. Yeah, so anyway, so it's good to see these sort of updates coming down for Windows 10. I'd just like to see a few more features come into it, but that's hopefully what we'll see as they roll out later.
Yeah.
But now, one app that I did spot last week, actually, sort of a coincidence, really. I'm not sure. Did we talk about this last week? I don't think we did with the DVD player.
We sort of briefly mentioned it, and we said it was due out, and I noticed they've actually got it up on the store now for a price.
That's right, yeah. So when I first wrote about it, I was just sort of driving to work and thought, oh, if this DVD player app actually works, and I tried it, and it did. And like I said, I think we did talk about it last week. But then the day after, they sort of put a price out for it. So the DVD player app is in the Windows Store now for £11.59. Which sounds expensive, but as you mentioned, I think it was last week, so basically you're essentially paying for the codec.
Yeah, that's all you're paying for.
So if you upgrade from Windows Media Center, so if you have Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 with Windows Media Center up and running, and then you do an in-place upgrade, no wiping or clean installs or anything, an in-place upgrade, you get this app free, and you have to have a DVD drive as well. If you haven't got over those, so if you came from an upgrade from a version that didn't have the Windows Media Center installed, or you've done a clean install, then you can buy this for £11.59. And I think, as we said last week, it's very basic, the app. It's just a pure DVD player.
Yeah, and that actually sounds like they're not actually making any profit on the codec. Just knowing the codec prices for those things. So it sounds like that's a standard licensing cost for the minimum quantity. So maybe they're not predicting actually selling too many copies of that.
Yeah, I can't see them doing too many, because you could just get the desktop version of VLC, and that would work. Or you could go for something a bit more advanced like Cyberlink Power DVD, which is an excellent app, and that plays Blu-ray. So you've got, I think, it's kind of in between, isn't it? Those, but yeah, if you get it free, fine. But if I would imagine most people who, if you are upgrading from Windows Media Center, want to keep some media functionality, then you're already looking at alternative solutions like Plex and MB or Kodi or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's there if you want to buy it. You can download that. Now, last week, we talked about streaming apps and sort of a bit of DLNA, and because I did a post on the different types of DLNA, and we talked with Chippy and Steve Payne about that as well. And I'll put a link in this chat room. Actually, I tweeted this today, but he's done an excellent post of trying the various streaming methods that you can do with Windows 10 and DLNA and that kind of thing. And yeah, he's got some interesting thoughts on there. So I did a nice table for DLNA, which he's included a link to, but he's tested Dial, which is Discovery and Launch Protocol. Have you tried anything to this?
I haven't actually. I know that it's there, but I haven't actually tried it.
Yeah, so this is Dial is and apparently it's developed by, I'm going from Steve's article here, Netflix and YouTube, and it's kind of like the handoff that Chromecast does.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, so you tell the remote device, so like a Chromecast, to play this file from this location, whereas DLNA is the file is on your local machine or another device on your network, and you're you're kind of going through the device, aren't you? It's not a handoff as such. Or Miracast, which is another option, but with that, which is screen mirroring, so that's not so that's a definite so that you can't even use your device for when you're doing that. So he's been testing all these different things, and he's had some success using the Fire TV with Windows 10 and Chromecast, and using the app which he called as Tubecast.
Oh yeah, because Tubecast That's quite an old app, but
Yeah.
I haven't used in a very long time.
No, I haven't either, and he seems to have the most success on doing that sort of solution. But he was saying that the Dial APIs are in the developer kit for the SDK for Universal Apps. So if you want to create a media app, then you could take advantage of that. But so far, apart from the Tubecast, that's the only app that actually seems to be using them. So even though that Netflix designed or helped design the protocol, they're not actually implemented in their app.
Which is a shame, really, because it would be nice to. Yeah, well, it's certainly good to see it coming though, because that's.
So theoretically, what you should be able to do then would be browse the Netflix app on your phone or your tablet and choose, I think I'll watch this movie, and then send it to your TV, and then you can then use your laptop for your phone for something else, which makes much more sense than using Miracast for something like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting idea. What would be nice is if Microsoft implemented that technology in movies and TVs, or film and telly, as we shall now call it, and the music app.
Yeah.
And then you could then do the same thing with that. So if you're music and TV, the music and TV apps, you could then say, okay, play that here on my Xbox One, and they could implement it in the Xbox One, and maybe even make their own dongle at some point.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to see that. So maybe that's something that we'll start. I mean, the Windows 10 SDK is relatively new anyway, isn't it? So it's going to take some time for some developers to work on that. But yeah, I'd like to see that. But I'll include a link in the show notes anyway, and you can see the various conclusions from there. But it does seem that there's plenty of options, and I think there's a build presentation showing you how to do this Dial supporting Windows apps as well. So hopefully someone in Microsoft can actually watch that presentation and build that into their apps.
Yeah, good stuff.
Because that's one of the things I think is one of the big limitations currently is the sort of the streaming, isn't it? That there's not a huge amount of DLNA or media streaming built into the apps that are shipped with Windows at the moment. Ironically, Windows Media Player's got all the intelligence.
Yeah, that does seem a bit weird, but it does sound like developers are going to be able to do a lot of this stuff, which is really good. You can imagine some of the big players who've been in the media center seen doing some of that stuff over the next few months.
Yeah. I mean, what you really like to see is, especially with the Xbox One, it being able to handle all this, and all the media apps that certainly Microsoft do have a link to the Xbox One, so that if you're watching a YouTube video, or you're watching a film, or you're listening to some music, you can throw them straight to your Xbox One, and that becomes your media hub.
Yeah.
Which over time, it's picking up these media features, and we talked about the TV recording, and I think Microsoft have confirmed some more details on that, haven't they?
Oh.
So the DVR functions coming to the UK, aren't they?
Yes, which is good to see. So I think it's US and UK are launch countries for it.
Yeah, and I think Canada as well.
Oh yeah, Canada as well. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's for over the air. And I think the other things that they said that you'll need is an external hard drive.
Yeah. It's interesting. One of the things I've noticed because we've got IFA coming up at the start of September, the big Europe CES, as I like to call it now, the big event which happens in Berlin. And I've starting to get the press invites through for that. And there's been a number of them talking about DVR solutions to work with Windows.
Right.
And also potentially Xbox as well. So it'd be interesting to see what's actually launched there. I mean, so some people playing their cards quite close to the chest, but it does sound like that there might actually be a few other solutions which plug into this Xbox solution. It'd be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah,
it will, because I suppose the tuner that we're currently using, the tuner that I've got is a DVT2 tuner. Yeah. And I suppose it just has to be certified by Microsoft, doesn't it? So I suppose they could have a third-party tuner, as long as it's certified, goes through the certificate. I mean, that's essentially what they've got in the US now, isn't it? Yeah. They've got Hauppauge third-party tuner that's certified.
Indeed.
But I think it'll be a good solution, and I know, I have for some time now. I've had Sky now, so I'm not using the the Freeview. But when I was using Freeview with Media Center, you could get a lot of content on there, and the Xbox solution I think will be a nice solution, and it even be good if you haven't got, you're using Sky or Virgin, you've got essentially an extra tuner that you can use.
Yeah, which would be cool. I like that idea. I'm just hoping at some point that Xbox DVR app makes its way to Windows 10 generally.
Yes, well, I think, yeah, you mean the recording app?
Yeah. So because it'll be. I mean, I'm assuming that. Well, maybe wrongly assuming that it's going to be a universal app, but maybe it isn't because I haven't got Windows 10 on Xbox yet. So, but if it was, it'd be nice if it was available on Windows 10.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be surprised if it does, to be honest, because I think it's the One Guide core, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess you can put it on Windows 10 anyway through the streaming side of things.
Yeah.
Actually, so yeah.
I think it'd be nice though if they had to introduce that, and they make them the Miracast function that there's got now, and the DLNA, and they roll in this dial support as well, and then make the Windows 10 apps aware of that. So it's the best solution, the easiest solution to get media onto your TV is an Xbox One and Windows 10.
Yeah.
And Windows 10 mobile, and then do what Microsoft seems to be doing very well nowadays, is make it cross-platform. So if you've got an Android phone, and you can use a movies and TV, Microsoft's movies and TV app, and stream that as well.
Yeah,
that's something that they haven't got at the moment, isn't it? There's no Android or iOS version of movies and TVs.
No, that's true, though, isn't it?
That's a missing piece, really.
It is a missing piece, yeah, because otherwise the ecosystem's really getting out there, and you can start to see it's becoming what we've always kind of dreamed of. I know we've lost Media Center, which is a shame in lots of ways, because that TV element of it was there, but with the Xbox, you start to put that back in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually, talking of Media Center as well, the single biggest, most viewed post on this week, again, same as last week, is how to get Windows Media Center onto Windows 10. It's a shame because because it doesn't work, you can't do it. But it just shows you there are people looking for it.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a couple of people. Some people email me as well, actually, which is quite funny when they somehow think you'll be able to support them. But I had someone email me saying that they'd gone to Windows 10, realized Media Center was gone, and how do they get back to Windows 7? So I replied back to him and said, well, okay, you can roll it back. You need to go into the settings, and there's a rollback option. You can find it in there, thinking that'll be enough to point them in the right direction. Then they came back and said, where's that? So I said, well, you go to settings, and then you go to, updates and security and blah, blah. So I pointed them all that direction. I got an email back saying, where's settings? So I sent back, right, okay, settings, you click start, and then you see the settings link. And then, this is true, I got another email back saying, I haven't got settings. So I sent them a link to the Microsoft forums and said, I think you better go over there and have a chat. Maybe because if you can't find settings, you really are in trouble.
Yeah.
But I think they were expecting sort of some hand-holding. I suppose you get the same thing. You kind of get people contacted there with very detailed support questions.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so some particularly weird ones at times.
Yeah. But in general, how have you found sort of, through people that are rolling out, have you found that they're rolling out Windows 10? Your friends and family kind of thing?
Yeah, I think virtually everybody has. I know I talked about my niece and her husband being over last week, and they'd upgraded to Windows 10 very easily. The only thing they've had, and I've actually heard this from quite a few people now, is the Visual C runtime thing coming up with an error and having to be reinstalled.
I saw that when in the preview stages where it would appear in the store as an add-in. A couple of times. I didn't see any errors.
No, this is. I'm trying to remember the exact error they're getting. I may have it here, but basically they're getting an error when it boots up, which is related to that. And the fix is to install both. Well, depending if you're 64-bit or 32-bit. If you're 32-bit only, you just install the 32-bit version. But if you're 64-bit, you actually have to install both the 32-bit and the 64-bit versions. to get it to work. So, took a few bits of trial and error to actually work that out. Because you'd assume you
install the right version. Yeah, you install the version for your OS. Yeah. But I didn't see that. But I've got, I know, all the people I know installed it have been happy with it. The kids have got it. And I tell you one thing I've noticed, Jason will like this as well. I wasn't getting before, is I now get email reports of the utilization of what the kids are doing on the Windows 10 PCs.
Cool. Yeah, I've just found the error that they get. So it basically says can't start because MS VCP 100 DLL is missing. That's the video thing which comes to the Visual C runtime. So yeah, that does seem to be.
So the trick is to install the 32-bit and the 64-bit version if you're on the 64-bit version of Windows.
Yeah.
And if you're on the 32-bit, just stick the 32-bit on. Yeah. But yeah, so I was saying that for my kids, you know, they upgrade. They love Windows 10. They like the Edge browser, and they like the new start menu on their laptops. So they're quite happy with that. Although my lad with the Surface, you know, he's saying, well, when can I get this for my Surface too? You know, but well, you can't. But you know, he really likes it. But then all of a sudden, I've started to get this information about PC utilization because there is child accounts.
Yeah.
Against my account, which I set up primarily for Windows Phone, actually, I think, so we can manage them through lost phones and that kind of thing. But now, so I get a weekly report that shows their usage of the Edge browser or Internet Explorer, what store apps they've been installing and using, and how much actual time they spent on it. And then you can then set limits on it as well. So I know it's something that Jason used quite a bit on there. And some of the changes weren't that easy, I think, for him to go from Windows 8 style family settings to these new ones. But I didn't get any of these reports before, so this is all new, and I didn't have to do anything. But it just seems to be working quite well. So I think if you've got a family, then it's definitely worth checking out. I think it used to be called Family Safety, and it's now just called Family Settings or something like that now. I know it was a big thing Jason talked about during the previous stage.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So that's
now talking about the update for the Surface 2. Did you see? We now know a few more details of what the Surface RT devices are beginning.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if it's actually even worth upgrading.
Yeah, I thought that.
So someone said to me the other day, "Well, it's all the bad bits of Windows 10 without getting any of the good bits."
Yeah. So what we're going to get?
So basically, the key thing we're not going to get is universal window platform apps compatibility. So Windows 10 apps will not be able to be run on it, which is a shame.
Yeah, which is the real thing that you want.
It is the one thing you want. You will get a start menu implementation. I'm not quite sure what size of start menu implementation you get, whether you'll get any form of continuum or that, but it does sound that we're getting. That's basically what we're getting.
Yeah, and what they're saying, I think it's come from a few sources, is that the start menu will be the one. I think it's DirectX design rather than the one we've got now in Windows 10, but it was the one that was seen on the first preview.
Yeah, that makes sense because it would have to be really, because they haven't got the support for some of the stuff without the Windows 10 core in, and they haven't got some of the support for that stuff. So it's I almost think they ought to email all Surface RT owners and say, "Are you really bothered about this? Should we put our resources to other things?"
Yeah, because if you've got a Surface RT, then the full screen start, it's not that bad. It's not really, it's not really going to suddenly make your device change in its characteristics, is it? Yeah. Just because you've got the effect. I mean, I included a picture of the very first start menu in the preview, so you can have a look at that in the blog post. But you'll see it's a bit more like the Windows 7 style one, isn't it, with the apps and the recent folders and things like that, and then you can have the tiles which are all pinned next to each other. But yeah, you can't think. Does it make much difference? I don't think so. I mean, like the new start menu is good. I do like the new Windows 10 start menu, especially on a device like the Surface where you got the hybrid effect. But Windows RT is essentially all tablet apps. There's only Office that you ever go to the desktop for.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, it doesn't seem. It seems a strange.
I think it's something they promised it, so they're trying to deliver it. And
Yeah.
and I wonder how many people will roll back as soon as will you be able to roll back? That's a good question as well. But it certainly doesn't sound like something I want.
No, and it's only a small set of users at the end of the day, anyway, isn't it? That they've got those. The other thing that they've said that they'll introduce, and this is from an FAQ on the Microsoft site actually that says what's in it, is a new lock screen.
Yeah.
Which will just be the Windows 10 lock screen, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, it'll be Windows 10 styling with no substance.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said. You're getting a few visual hints of what you could have.
Yeah.
If you got a normal version of Windows, you do wonder why. I think, like you said, it's because they've promised it. They're obliged to do it, but it's a very small group of users, and I really don't think it'll make much difference. So I noticed I don't use my Surface 2 at all now. I've got the Surface Pro 3, and that does all of it. I noticed my sons, because we got laptops for Christmas, so they didn't really use their original Surface anymore. Although my son now uses it as a YouTube machine or Netflix machine. So he sits in his room with his Xbox on, his laptop on, and then the Surface without the keyboard attached, just streaming Netflix or YouTube videos. So it kind of works for him like that. But the new start menu will certainly make no difference for that.
No.
And you couldn't even use the new Minecraft app or whatever because it doesn't support the new APIs.
Yeah, seems more to me.
September anyway, we'll have that.
Yeah, and I'm not really holding my breath.
Yeah. Talking about new Minecraft, actually, I got the kids to install that so I could see what it was like, and they said one of them said, "Oh yeah, I really like this," and the other one said, "It looks too much like the Pocket Edition. Going back to the desktop one." So that was the 2-minute review from a 10-second review from the kids. But it's good that it's there, I suppose, and I don't know whether Microsoft really. Now it's now they own the brand, whether that's the direction they want to push it, or is this was just to show that you could do apps like this in Windows 10. I guess it's more of that, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a technology proof of concept almost, in that you can get full scale apps like Minecraft that were Java based running in Windows Store.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still waiting, really, aren't we, for some of the headline Windows 10 universal apps. I suppose the new Audible app.
Yeah, that would be good. I wonder if we're waiting until they launch the phone, to be honest. I wonder if they're going to put a big push, because apps are more significant on the phone than they are on the store, on the desktop.
Yeah.
I just feel like somehow that's maybe what they're waiting for. Would kind of make sense, but
yeah, but I mean, I suppose what Sonos is the one that immediately springs to mind, but
because of all those rumors we mentioned on the show a year ago about that, and then it's all gone very quiet. So I don't know. I mean, we obviously have got the Sonos able to play the music anyway on its own app, but I think it'd be nice to have the Windows Phone app version, a proper app. Yeah, that's probably the way to say it.
I suppose I wonder if you could support the Android one over.
Potentially, yeah. Maybe that's what they're waiting for.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I mean, that's like you said, that's probably a good time to show this stuff off, isn't it? When they talk about the phone and talk about universal apps and and perhaps running on Continuum and so on. But just want to see a few more headline apps, really, don't we?
Yeah.
Now, what other did we? Oh, I just. I've been going through various how-tos as I've been coming across things so I did a how to manage your devices with Groove Music today.
Cool.
So I'll include a link for that in the show notes. But If you've got a music subscription, there's a device limitation. You can only have 4 devices that can download music from Groove Music. It's a bit complicated by the fact with OneDrive now, your own music is unlimited. So if you've got OneDrive, you can have your own music on as many devices as you want. That's not a problem. But if you pay for the monthly subscription and just getting your whatever you want music, then there is a 4 device limit on that, as you know, Gary, from reading from editing the book with us.
Yeah.
You've probably seen it. But anyway, so I thought I'd make a note of this because it has changed with Windows 10 and the Groove. The old Xbox management page is gone, and they've got a new version on there. And of course, now it works with iOS and Android as well. So you've got to those devices got to sort of authenticate essentially, and they count as one of your 4 device limits.
Yeah, just 4 devices beginning to seem quite a small limit.
It is, but it only applies to downloading, so you can stream. So I've got probably 10 devices connected up with Groove Music, but only my Surface, my phone, and my Nexus that are actually downloading stuff for offline playback. Because at the end of the day, most of the time, if you listen to music offline, it tends to be on my phone. If you're on my Surface, then yeah, I do listen to some off there, but I do the offline stuff more on my phone, really, in case, when I'm driving around and listening to music and you don't want to stream it all the time. So it's not a huge disadvantage. It is a bit. The one limitation is you can only remove one device a month. So if you do get a new device, you've got to make sure you don't try and remove a lot of stuff at the same time, because you'll get stuck then.
Yeah.
Now, talking of music player apps, Plex have launched a brand new iOS app for their system, which I have to say looks really nice. I don't know if you have a chance to see this, Gary, but it is a good-looking app now.
Yeah, it does seem really nice. Look, well, the whole Plex systems. That's one of the things as we talk about Reddit in the book. That's one thing I've been quite impressed reading your write-up about the Plex system. How polished that all seems.
Yes, I agree. It is good. I mean, the new iOS app is looking good, but the whole ecosystem of Plex works together really well. So, for anybody that doesn't know, Plex is a media server system that's essentially it's free. The server's free anyway, and then there's various levels you can pay to get the clients up and running with different feature sets. But so you install the Plex server on you can install it on Windows 10, Linux, Windows Home Server, whatever you want. And it indexes all your music and your video and everything else, brings down all the metadata, and then you connect to it through the browser or through dedicated clients. So the new iOS app supports things like video chapters that it downloads. It's got Rotten Tomato ratings on there. There's music and everything else. And then there's Windows Phone, Windows 10, Android, all different platforms, Chromecast, or Android TV, and you can sort of get all your content through there. And it does work really well, as we were saying before. I kind of use it as I think of it almost as Netflix for your own content. So you build your own cloud of storage, and it streams over the internet without really having to do a lot of port forwarding, because it uses UPnP. And a login, so you get a login. So you do have to pay for some of the apps to unlock the functionality, or you can get a Plex Pass that kind of has a monthly or yearly subscription, effectively, to get unlimited access. But I use it on the Xbox One, and it works quite well. So the new Android app is available in the store, and that's free. And the free version is quite good, actually. You can use it as a remote control. A little bit like we were talking with the dial before. So what you can do with that, so from your iPhone, you can browse your collection of videos and music, and you can then get it to play. So if you haven't paid for it, you can't play it on the device, but you can say play on, and you can select one of your other devices on the network. So you can say, right, play this on my Xbox One, or play it on my Surface, or whatever you've got connected and up and running, and it works quite well like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I found when I was doing the writing in the book, was that the remote control stuff's quite good in Plex, actually. So you can control it from different things. It's always really I think Plex and MB have very similar functionality, slightly different feature sets and slightly perhaps different markets slightly, but both very powerful systems, and they've gone a long way in my house really to get around the fact that you've no longer got media centers. You have got these other options for your own content.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So while we don't talk about things we've been looking at, I mentioned a few weeks ago the Switch 10e from Acer I've been looking at.
Oh yeah.
And I actually was allowed to hang on to that long enough to go through the Windows 10 upgrade on it, which was incredibly smooth. And I have to say, that device running Windows 10 is a lot better than it running Windows 8 because you can use Continuum on it.
Can you? Right.
So when you plug the keyboard in, you can switch between the two modes, and it works really well. And I was really impressed with that. So I like that device a lot. I mean, it's a bit more plasticky than the old Switch 10, but you offset that by, now some people don't like this, but the keyboard's a bit heavier, so it means the whole weight of the thing's a bit heavier as well. But that, as we said before, that means it actually is stable when you hold it on your lap. You can actually use it as a laptop, unlike the old one which used to topple over all the time if you tried to do that.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, the Switch 10 is basically a 10-inch display with a detachable keyboard. So it's almost Surface-like in some ways, but it's obviously Acer's own proprietary connector. Keyboard's pretty good. It works. It's quite a nice feel to the keyboard, it seems to work really well. Atom based. It's fast enough. It's certainly good enough for browsing. Network connection's good on it. Seem to work really well. For the prices you can pick them up for, they're definitely a good deal.
Yes. So I've actually, funny enough, I've got a Switch 11 here that I'm just sort of going through the process. I just recorded a video of it yesterday actually, so that'll probably be out sometime next week when I get around to doing the editing. But I quite like the Switch. Yeah, it's not an elegant device as something like the Surface, but you're paying a lot less, aren't you?
Yeah. And the other one, of course, is the Switch 12, which is, I've actually got one in the office now, the Switch 12, because it's nice just having that 12-inch screen and have that bit more space on it. It's almost 13-inch, that one. But the keyboard on that's really weird, because it's not a fold-up keyboard. You can actually fold the thing up, but it actually folds with the keyboard on the outside. And it's not, you don't actually cover the front of the screen ever. But the keyboard can clip on either the front or the back, or it can be actually used detached as a Bluetooth keyboard. Which is quite nice. Which is quite nice. It's almost like an all-in-one. But you can turn it an all-in-one. You can turn it into a tablet. Is the best way to describe it. The only thing I don't like about that is to charge the keyboard. You have to plug it in on the back, so you can't use it while it's charging, which is a bit stupid.
Right, yeah. Because on the Switch 10 and Switch 11, the keyboard doesn't need power.
But the really cool thing about Switch 12 is it's actually got 802.11ac built in. So if you've got that sort of Wi-Fi capability, if you've got a decent modern router, you can get absolutely stonking speeds on browsing. It's amazing to watch sites you've seen crawl up, just pop up on the screen. A very nice experience, that.
I quite like. I just tested this Switch 11. I just found it a little bit on the big side. I think 11 inches. It's funny. It's physically not that much bigger than the Surface Pro 3, but it feels quite big because I think it's fairly thick, isn't it? But like you said, the weight in the keyboard is fairly substantial now, so it doesn't topple over. But the whole package is actually quite heavy when you add in the keyboard.
Yeah. I think that's generally the case now. They've actually added a bit more weight to them. I wouldn't want to port the Switch 12 around with me all the time. But on the other hand, it is a very good little desktop device or tabletop device, I guess is the best way of describing it. I can certainly see it being used as a really good home automation controller, for example. That's the one option I could see where it would be very handy. I think the old Acer range is pretty cool at the moment. I know they're going to be launching more stuff at IFA. I've got an invite to their press conference, so hopefully get some feedback from there.
Yeah, because I think when it gets to IFA, we're ready for sort of some Windows 10 devices, aren't we? That's when we really want to see.
Well, we've got the Windows 10 press conference, so I'm hoping that they'll actually announce some of the stuff there. Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing. There's still nothing really. Well, we've had nothing that with Windows 10 pre-installed, but actually there is now, isn't there? If you get Surface Pro, I think 3 and the Surface 3 now come with Windows 10, don't they? If you if you get new inventory.
Yeah, and also Ace has got those new devices that Chippy was talking about last week, which I've just forgotten the name of, but they're out with Windows 10 on as well. So,
and did you see that one? Tesco's have got one.
Yes, that's
an 8-inch tablet.
8-inch tablet, so Link's competitor, effectively.
Yeah, I think it was £99, was it?
£99. Which still doesn't really make it much of a Link's competitor because you can pick Link's up for about 60, 70 still at the moment if you look around. So,
I still think that of all the devices that I've bought in the last couple of years, that the Link 7 is probably the best value for money. It was 59 quid, and it's working Windows 10 brilliantly.
Yeah, and it's interesting enough because I've got a couple of Lynx 8s around which I use for various things. I mentioned I'd had to force the update on one of them last week, but one of them actually updated naturally. In fact, I didn't even notice it update. One day it was using Windows 8, and the next day it was using Windows 10. I must have said yes to it somewhere along the line, but it just was there, and it worked perfectly. And the amount of space saving through doing that was amazing. Which is really weird since you've gone away from the WinBoot stuff. So you've gone away from this compressed image to actually having a proper image, but it seems to save space, which is somewhat strange.
I missed a comment from the chat room actually from earlier from Guest 909 who says, when we're talking about Android apps, I wonder what level of security that brings. For many Android apps are not known for their high security.
Very true. Yeah, and the apps can be poor security. I mean, obviously the iOS is more secure than Android is anyway, but
I wonder how sandboxed they are, so that effectively, are you getting improved security if you use Windows 10?
Yeah, there is that. That's an interesting thought pattern, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, maybe if they are, really isolated, that the sandboxing would be better, and the best place to run Android apps would be on Windows 10 mobile. I think that's a story. I mean, it's a story we didn't talk about, but it's something maybe we could talk about on another show. But there's did you see that story a couple of weeks ago about Android apps? Sort of 96% of Android apps had a really bad security vulnerability, and really only very modern Android devices are going to get fixes for them, and leaving a lot of devices very vulnerable.
Yeah, indeed. I think. I mean, the other thing is that's the case. Also, the case with Android itself. There's a lot of vulnerabilities which are patched, but not all the manufacturers push the patches out.
And I think that's the problem. You with Android, if you've got maybe a Nexus or the latest Samsung, you're going to get updates. But if you've got an older device, the chances of getting these patches are remote.
Yeah, indeed.
And that leaves it very vulnerable. Whereas the model that Microsoft use, where especially with Windows 10, the core security updates ever since Windows 7, really, isn't it? That all the security updates are handled by Microsoft and not left to the OEMs.
Yeah.
And that does improve the security, but I think that's an interesting issue. But I did kind of, when you look at what some of the comments I've seen on Twitter, it seems to be people will take app availability over security. Sadly
so. People don't worry about security until it bites them.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, I think that's just about all time we've got this week. So I'll include a link for the things we talked about in the UMPC article in the show notes.
Yep.
And maybe by next week's show, we'll have a new phone build to play with. Jason come back and we can see if he's upgraded his son.
Yeah.
Upgraded his son's phone, not his son.
Yeah, that would be a bit.
Maybe that's what he's doing today. But maybe we'll have some more stuff. So then the week after we're on I'm on holiday, so we'll be having a week off. So next week got a show, and then the week after we're having a week off, and then we'll be back. Then I think it'll be in September, then, won't we?
Yeah, I think that actually might be IFA week.
IFA week, yeah. So we'll be getting close to IFA then.
Yep, I'm hoping to get over there if I can sort out the sponsorship. But anybody wants to sponsor Fascinating Tech to go to IFA, let me know.
Yeah, and where can they contact you to let you know?
So at Gary WMA, that's Gary with 2 R's on Twitter, or you can also email me. Even email. That's a difficult word to say at this time of night. At Gary@fascinatingtech.com.
Excellent, great stuff. So everything we talked about tonight in the show notes, and we'll be back next week. And right, I'll let you go back to your word processor.
Yes, dragging and dropping images into your wonderful words, but they are very good words. So it's we're almost there.
Doing all this with a typewriter, obviously.
Yes. Well, I really wanted to use paper punch cards, but you wouldn't let me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't read those. I can't read the punch cards natively like you can.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay, well, we'll see you next week.
Take care. Cheers.
Okay, great.